Okay, guys, welcome back. We're going to get into our next lesson. This one's going to be on type and text and using words in our creations. Okay, this is a pretty important part of Photoshop, as most people who are using Photoshop are going to be using it for wedding announcements or party or flyers or ads or something with text in it. Okay, text plays a big role into design and into graphic design, and so knowing the tools in Photoshop to make the text look beautiful and to be able to do what we want with the text is really important. Okay, so we're going to get into that. Obviously, we're going to be using the text tool, all right? And this is really the only tool we're going to cover in this section. However, if you look here, if you come just down, this is what the text tool looks like. There will be a few other tools that we will cover as well, okay? So the text tool is very simple. If you will remember, if you hit Command 0, that'll bring our canvas back to full screen. It's pretty easy to use. It's very similar to how a text box works in other applications such as Word or Publisher, but we just click and drag, or you can just click and that will do the same thing. We can type, but clicking and dragging will allow you to set your the size however you want. All right. So we use the type tool to select what we have, okay, as far as the text in here. And we can select and we can change the text in any way we want. Now, if we don't like the text that we have, we just come down here to Layers panel. Make sure you have layers, and then we just click on this and hit delete. Or you can also drag it down to this little trash can, or you can just click on the trash can and say yes. So there's a couple ways to delete layers. Those are the ways to delete layers. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a text box, and we are going to delete everything in there. It comes by default with lorem ipsum text in it, just so you can see what it would look like if you don't have something in specific that you want to type. All right. So a couple of things you're going to need to make sure you have right here over in our panels. And if your panels are not set up like this, I would set it up like this for this course. This is how I work in Photoshop, and it would be beneficial for you to have it this way as well. It's very easy to set this up. Like I said, you just can move around these little tabs to wherever you want. In this case, this is how you want to have it set up. Color and swatches, adjustment libraries and properties, layers, channels, paths, and then all my other panels I put over here. Some of them do not come like this by default. You're going to need to come up here to Window, and then come and select the ones that we'll be working with. All right, so we do need the character panel, and this is what it looks like right over here. It's this little A with the line next to it, okay? And this is what these are our tools for, this is our panel for our text. We also have some of these options up here as well, and you can use either one. I always come and work through here, but you can work through either one. All right, so let's just go ahead and type some text. I'm gonna put, my name is Cameron. All right, so this is some text, and I'm just going to show you. This works a little different than other things you might be used to, like Word and stuff like that. But basically, in Photoshop, we are making a selection and then doing something to that selection. In almost everything we do in Photoshop, that's what it's going to be. We make a selection, we do something to that selection. And it's the same for text. So for us to change anything here, we have to select it first. So we select it, and now we can come over here and our changes will be applied if we want to change it. Right here in this little box, we can change the color. And it pulls up this little picker, and you can come through here and pick colors. I'm just going to change it to black. All right. And now that change has been applied. Keep in mind, you cannot highlight this with anything except for the text tool. If we have the move tool selected, we can move the text. We won't be able to select it though. So we're going to need the text tool to highlight this. We just click on the selection, highlight, click, select. Okay. Over here we have options for changing our font. And we can come here and we can change our font to whatever we want. Let's just change it to, Jungle Fever. Now you'll see that our text box isn't big enough to accommodate for the entire line of text, so we'll just make it a little bigger. Okay. Now let's say I have another sentence. Okay. Oops. Okay, my brother's name is Carson. All right, so there's a couple of other things that we can do with this text. All right, we can change the spacing in between the lines and in between each letter. So that is this little VA with the line under it. We can change how much space is actually in between each letter of the text. I don't really mess with that a whole ton. Fonts come with the proper spacing in my opinion, but you can change it right here. It's VA. You can also get your mouse over the icon and you can drag just like this. You don't have to drag it down. That's how a lot of these sliders are in Photoshop. Okay, but we're just gonna go back to default. Here we have this little A line. Okay, this is the spacing between the lines, and so you can see we can move these lines apart just like this to add some more space if we want. This is something I'll do a little more commonly, because sometimes what will happen is you'll change the text size and it won't accommodate how much space is in between the line. For example, if I change this to a 16-point font, okay, and this as well to a 16-point font. Okay, so let's assume that this was the default size. If I go back to 72 points, everything is stacked on top of each other. So I'm going to need to come back here and match that, 72 points. All right, so pretty basic stuff over here. You can change the height of the characters. There's a lot of stuff you can do over here, but like I said, I don't mess with that a whole ton. And as a general rule of thumb, I wouldn't unless you have something very specific in mind. More commonly, if you want to mess with the text styles, the better way to do that is going to be up here, this little icon right here, okay? Warped text. Now, just so you know, these panels here, they just collapse in with this little double arrow. Collapse in, okay? And we are going to come up here and do a couple of things with this warped text. So we click on this and we get this little box, all right? Now, what can we do with this box? Here are all of these styles that we have, and I'm actually going to delete some of this text before we do that. I'm just going to go back to, in fact, we're just going to do my name. Okay. Do that. Let's make this a little bigger. Okay. We can center our text or align it on either side right up here. I'm going to center it, and we will warp this text. Okay, and so we have these options here. For example, we can do an arc, and that's going to arc my text. We can arc the lower part of it, and as you can see, we have this arc down here. We can do a vertical arc if we want to do a vertical. Most oftentimes it'll be horizontal, but we can change the bend of it. We can change the distortions, vertical distortions. Okay, and we can really get this looking pretty nice. But that is how we do warped text, and it actually becomes really helpful if you want to try and plaster text onto the sides of buildings, or onto, let's say you want to put text on a mug, you want to Photoshop text onto a mug, a picture of a mug, or really anything. If you want to put text into an image as if it were there when you took the image, then this becomes a really, really useful tool. We can use this with some blending modes, and it will look as if it was there when the picture was taken. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. That is pretty much how text works. Okay, a couple of other things to know. If you, on a lot of these tools, and this is something to keep in mind with all of the tools, if we just right click on that tool, we can see we actually have quite a few text tools. That's how it is with a lot of these tools. We just click, we right click, or we can just click and hold. That'll do the same thing. But we actually have quite a few tools that are in these, and these are just the subcategory, all right? So text tools, I want to show you all of them. We have vertical type. And so this allows us to type, all right, I'll do my name again. We'll get rid of this. So that's how you would do vertical. If you wanted to do that, and this is a great tool because otherwise we would have to do 3 separate text boxes with each one containing only 1 letter. So this is the only way you can type up and down, unless you want to do multiple text boxes. Okay. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. These vertical type mask tool and horizontal type mask tool, these are pretty cool tools. We draw a box, and I'm going to just do cam. Okay. So these are masked tools, and we have not gone into masks in this course yet, but we will. But this creates a mask of the text. And this is something that's really cool, and we can do some really cool stuff with it. Basically, this works as like a cookie cutter of letters, and we can take an image and we can cookie cut letters into the image, and it allows us to do some pretty cool stuff with this tool. All right, so but like I said, we're not going to do anything with that today in this lesson, and that's about what I want you to know with the text tools for right now. Okay, so that's it for this lesson. I want you guys to keep in mind that using text, you can obviously buy fonts from the internet, but a couple of places that I recommend, and I'll have these posted in the blog and in the comments, or I'm sorry, in the description. I love to use 1001 Fonts and dafont.com. They're both free options to get free fonts on the internet. Very trustworthy. You have to be careful of where you're downloading fonts from, as if you're not careful, you can get viruses on your computer. So I like to go to those 2 sites because they have a lot of fonts, they're safe, and 1001 Fonts actually has commercial uh, use fonts that are completely free. You can use them for business, you can use them for advertisements, and it's just fabulous. Okay, so check those places out. They do a really great job of getting the free fonts for us. So, anyways, come back for the next lesson, and that's it for fonts.